And welcome to Blues Game Day Live. I'm John Kelly, of course, along with Chris Kerber. A beautiful day here in Arizona. The temperature close to 90. I know Blues fans back in St. Louis are saying, darn those guys, they're in nice weather when it's raining and cold in St. Louis, right?
We have no choice. We were just told we have to be here for a hockey game. It's not our fault.
Right, we're working, right.
Yeah.
And it's not just any old hockey game, Chris, as we know. It's a huge game for the Blues. They got a big point last night in Vegas. They now sit tied with Colorado, but they do have a game in hand, so in effect, the game in hand is tonight. It's a huge 2 points for the Blues.
Yeah, and that is why the Blues sit in that second wild card. Colorado winning yesterday, big 5-0 over Chicago, and then Anaheim winning in overtime at home over the Los Angeles Kings. So that has put the playoffs right on the brink of in and out. So this is big, and I don't think you can overlook the importance of that goal from Chris Thorburn at the perfect time that allowed this team to get into overtime and earn what could prove to be a massive point. So while the losing streak is over, the point streak continues, and this is a building where the Blues have had some pretty good success lately. Now, that said, the Coyotes have played some really good hockey, really from the turn of the calendar year. We've seen them beat teams. As a matter of fact, they beat the Vegas Golden Knights in Las Vegas right before the Blues got into town. So the Blues right now cannot overlook any single team, no matter where they are in the standings.
Yeah, the Coyotes have played well of late. They've won 4 of their last 7 games, and they beat the Blues in St. Louis rather handily, 5-2. They led in that game 4-0 after 20 minutes.
Yeah, and so the Blues, I think they're at a point. Now, when that game happened, I think the Blues are at a different point. At least in their thought process. I think they now know what it's going to take to win. And the successes that they have had over teams like Boston, even getting that game, coming from behind twice, coming from behind and having 5 of the last 7 games go into overtime. I think the Blues are in a different state now than they were when they played Arizona in that game. So I'm looking for something different. I haven't looked up the numbers just yet, but you know who always seems to have a big game down here? Is Patrick Berglund.
Yeah.
He seems to love the palm trees and playing hockey right down here against the Coyotes.
All right, speaking of playing well in this building, the Blues have won 7 straight here at Gila River Arena, and Jake Allen in his career is 7-0. Now, the Blues have not said if Jake Allen is going to play tonight. Carter Hutton, of course, is healthy and ready to go, but Jake Allen's are obviously very good.
Listen, it comes back down to riding the hot hand, just like the Blues were doing when Carter Hutton had that hot hand, and Jake has been fantastic, and his play in the final 5 minutes of the third period last night in Las Vegas is why the team got to overtime. The Blues were turning the puck over. The pressure was coming from Vegas. It was almost as if the Blues were sort of playing the old football prevent defense, trying to get it to overtime, and Vegas was sniffing that out. Jake was fantastic. So, again, like you said, we haven't had a chance to meet with the coaches yet. We'll do that prior to the game. We'll find out then and get that confirmed or not. So it wouldn't surprise us if Jake starts. And honestly, playing the second game of back-to-backs and also 3 games in 4 nights, it wouldn't surprise you if they turn to a healthy Carter Hutton right now for this game as well, knowing you've got Washington coming into St. Louis on Monday. But Jake has had the hot hand. He's played very well down here, and the team has a lot of belief in what he is doing right now. And the Blues are, once again, it starts with the goaltending. It starts with the defensive play of this hockey team, and that's going to be a huge key tonight.
Well, speaking of health, the Blues are anything but healthy on the back end. Last night, Jordan Schmaltz left after the first period, upper body injury, did not return. We do not know his status. The Blues have recalled Chris Butler on emergency conditions, so we're not sure if he'll get in. There's also a chance that the rookie Mitch Renke out of Michigan Tech, who's had all of one NHL practice, could play tonight. We don't know.
Yeah, there is a chance because when the Blues signed him and put him on there, he actually is on the active roster. So without getting into too much of a technical aspect of it, when you call a player up on emergency basis, you basically have to be below your normal number. So the Blues would have to only have 5 healthy defensemen available for tonight to be able to play Chris Butler on an emergency basis. And here's why that's important. After the trade deadline, teams have 4 call-ups from their minor league teams. Now, what's a little crazy about this is, and the Blues, of course, have used 2 of them. As long as your minor league is playing, including in the playoffs, you still only get those 4 call-ups, which means the Blues have 2 left. Now, if San Antonio were out of the playoffs, you could call up half the team and it wouldn't matter. But because the Blues are playing, because the Blues could make the playoffs, because San Antonio is in that same boat, you don't want to burn those call-ups in case you need it come playoff time if you make the playoffs. So that's why they have to wait and see how it's going. So, again, that's another lineup decision that's up in the air, but it could be an interesting one if Mitch does get an opportunity to make his NHL debut. Al MacInnis has coached Mitch Renke in some spring tournaments where Mitch was playing with Al's son Ryan. Al described him as a very solid skater. He's a defenseman that likes to make a play with the puck. He's got good patience. He has a solid shot. So if we do see him make his NHL debut tonight, I think it'll be another neat moment for another young man.
And Mike Yeo asked Mitch the other day who he models his game after. The guy he mentioned was Jared Spurgeon, who's a little guy who can skate well, who, oh, by the way, was coached by Mike Yeo a few years ago.
Not only coached by Mike Yeo, but a very important piece now is what Jared has grown into on the Minnesota Wild defensive side of things. So if he models his game after that and he can play that way, I think we'd be in some pretty good shape.
Yeah, so we have some lineup decisions that will be made later today, and hopefully the Blues can get a victory tonight here in Arizona and head home and have a happy Easter and come home and face the Capitals on Monday.
We were picking on you TV guys about makeup yesterday in Vegas.
Okay.
We said that you guys were walking the strip looking for different makeup artists to help with the show last night. How'd it go?
It went well, and we had a brush with greatness, as you know. You had the picture with Daniel Negreanu, Kid Poker. That was a lot of fun. It was actually a very entertaining night last night. Obviously, the Blues would have liked 2 points, but it was a fun night in Vegas.
TV guys got it taken care of. They ended up getting into overtime last night. We did on the radio. It's a good thing when the game ends with the same score on TV and radio.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. We need to be in sync on that stuff.
Yeah, that's important.
All right, speaking of being in sync, we're on the air at 5:30 on Fox Sports Midwest local time. That would be 7:30 St. Louis time. Face-off just after 8 o'clock St. Louis time, and you're on the air at what time?
It's that same magical thing we talked about last time we did this. Yeah, same time.
Okay.
5:30 pregame, 6 o'clock opening show.
All right, Chris, well done.
All right, John, thank you, sir.
All right, we'll see you tonight, Blues fans. Go Blues.